What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Matt Talk Sports, and Week 3 of NFL football is pretty much over with. We have Ravens versus Lions tomorrow. Hopefully, that is a way better primetime game than the primetime game we got tonight in Chiefs versus Giants because, Jesus, that was a bad game to watch. Don't ever want to see the Giants in primetime again this year, especially with Russell Wilson at quarterback because, my God, this guy, I've never seen someone have so many depressing red zone drives in one season. First against the Commanders, tried to have a great game winning drive in overtime, horrible. And then today against the Chiefs, just throwing out of bounds to nobody on like four straight plays. Just absolutely egregious, horrible game. Chiefs moved to 1-2. Still don't feel good about them. There's really not much to talk about in that game except for Tyquil Thornton, who is just becoming Pat Mahomes' favorite target outside of Rasheed Rice when he returns and Xavier Worthy because Marquise Hollywood Brown can't find a good enough chemistry with him yet. And yeah, so that's the first game we're talking about. Giants versus Chiefs. Chiefs win. They moved to 1-2. So if they went to 0-3 and lost to this Giants team, I would have came on here and said they're never making the playoffs. They're probably going to make the playoffs. One, because Chargers are really good in that division, but also the Broncos might stink. I'm pretty sure they stink. Very underwhelming start to their season, but yeah, man. I mean, Mahomes is still scrambling like crazy. Nothing really impresses you on this Chiefs team besides the defense. But Mahomes threw the ball backwards like 5 times tonight. And there's a play in this game where Okereke from the Giants' defensive side picks up the backwards pass and gets stripped from Pat Mahomes. Embarrassing play by Okereke. Just fall on the ball if you're going to just get stripped by a quarterback, bro. That was gross to watch. Yeah, man. I mean, the Chiefs, man, they stink. They're not the same Chiefs as they once were, bro. If we lose to the Chiefs, we meaning the Bills in the playoffs, it would be so depressing. I don't know how I'd ever recover, man. I would be like this grumpy Kermit isolate man if we lost to this year's Chiefs team in the playoffs. That team stinks. That defense is good, but it's not as great as it has been in the past. Listen, we all know the Chiefs take it to the next level when they reach the playoffs, so can't count them out yet. Those fucks like to play great in the playoffs and play horrible in the regular season despite winning games. So they just know how to win games. They're not at 500 yet, and they face the Ravens next week, and I expect the Ravens to handle business. But that Chiefs team is woefully boring to watch and woefully not impressive. Um, Honestly, not even woefully, just evidently not impressive to watch. What a horrible Sunday night football game. And also, Russell Wilson, this was his last game as the Giants starting quarterback, I'll tell you that. And honestly, might be Joe Shane and Brian Daboll's last game as the Giants head coach. Probably not, but if I'm Mara, bro, the president of the Giants, how can I not fire somebody after tonight? Have to, man. These fucking guys, they're egregious, man. I hate them, dude. I'm not even a Giants fan. I hate Brian Dable and the decisions he makes. Let's say Joe Brady, who might find a head coaching job next year, he leaves us this offseason. I don't know how much I would want to welcome back Dayball. He's been woefully unimpressive as a offensive mastermind for the Giants, except for that first season he was a Giants head coach. And I know he doesn't have Josh Allen on this team, and I know he doesn't have great offensive weapons, but still, a lot of the play calling and the offensive decision makings are just woefully unimpressive. And that's going to be a saying I say to describe this game. So, defense on the Chiefs looks good, but they're playing the Giants offense, who can't do 1 + 1 = 2. They stink. Yeah, that's about it. Pat Mahomes is running for his life every play. He has the most scramble yards in the NFL. I think it got even higher after tonight. Tyquil Thornton is the biggest takeaway for Chiefs fan. You can talk yourself into when Rasheed Rice comes back, when Xavier Worthy comes back. Now you have Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy, Tyquil Thornton, and Hollywood Brown. So that's a good 4 receivers if Rasheed Rice lives up to his potential. So Chiefs win. They move to 1-2. Giants move to 0-3. I'm still not impressed with the Chiefs, and the Giants are one of the worst teams in the NFL, despite supposedly having one of the best defenses in the league before heading into this game and before heading into the season. That defense has not shown how great it is yet, in my opinion, and there's still a lot to overcome for this team, in my opinion. So Chiefs wins to my reluctancy. Now let's get into the real football play today because the 1 o'clock slate for football today was maybe the greatest 1 o'clock slate ever for football. It's the greatest witching hour. The amount of chaos that unfolded during this 1 o'clock slate is masterful. It was something from a cinematic film. Like, that was special to watch, and I can't wait to talk about the madness that unfolded today because man was it glorious and man was it cool to not have your team playing and just bathe in the chaos and the agony and the triumph of what unfolded during the 1 o'clock window. So let's get into it. Rams versus the Eagles. Dude, Eagles win 33-26. By the way, what a comeback for the Eagles. What a comeback. I was gonna get ready to come on here when it hit midnight and be like, hey, Jalen Hurts was horrible today. That offense is worrisome. They can't pass the ball, but the Eagles are kind of cut from the Chiefs' cloth. They will win games when it matters. They will turn it up when they feel like they need to. And that was evident in the second half. Despite getting scored on relatively quickly in the second half, they overcame a 26-7 deficit. That's what they did, and it was pretty insane to watch. I knew AJ Brown was going to get involved in this game, and AJ Brown was dominant in this game. He had 6 receptions for 109 yards. That's exactly what he had in the playoff game against the Rams. He had 6 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown. It's identical to what he had in the playoff games against the Rams. So that was great to watch objectively. The Eagles have gotten a lot of slack these past couple weeks for saying they're so boring to watch, because usually they are. The tush push is annoying to watch. But when you use it sparingly like they did today, it's not a big deal. And that's what they did, and their offense overcame a couple hurdles. There's some interesting things to worry about with this team, though. The offense is pretty stagnant. Jalen Hurts took a lot of pressure today, took a lot of big hits, surprisingly, especially how stout that offensive line is. Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and Jalen Hurts was getting pushed around in the pocket. So that was interesting to watch. There was a lot of big hits on Jalen Hurts tonight, but A.J. Brown finally getting on the board this year. Devontae Smith with a clutch touchdown to ultimately win the game. And then ultimately, from a betting perspective, I didn't have anything in this game. I didn't. The only thing I had in this game was Eagles and a different parlay, but we'll cut that out. I didn't bet this game, thank God, but I probably would have had -3.5, and I wish I did, because that is the greatest betting win of all time if you bet that game -3.5, but it's also maybe the worst beat in NFL history if you have +3.5. If you don't know what happened, the Eagles scored to go up 27-26. The Eagles are now on defense. The Rams are driving. They're driving. They get into field goal range. Mind you, the Eagles blocked the Rams kick earlier in the game. The Rams are set to kick. The Eagles block it, but instead of falling on it like any other team would or any other scenario you've seen before, Jordan Davis, 300 plus pounds, 6'5", picks up the fumble, picks up the ball that he blocked, and takes it to the house to cover to win 33-26. How incredible is that? That was one of the most insane games I've ever seen in my life. A great comeback, and then ultimately a blocked field goal to win the game. And not only do you block the field goal, your big boy runs it back for a touchdown. A big boy gets a touchdown. I love when big boys get a touchdown, man. It's one of my favorite things in sports. It's one of the most exhilarating things in sports, especially how big Jordan Davis is. That's the fastest he's ever ran in his life, bro. That was incredible to watch. So, Eagles win. Their offense looks like it might have found something in that second half. They came out slinging. Jalen Hurts looked really good throwing the ball in the second half. The Eagles are really good when they're entertaining. They're really good when they're boring. But I prefer to have them be entertaining, because when they're boring, they're one of the most boring teams in the NFL. They are hard to watch. So I'm glad they finally found something today. Listen, the Rams, they came short. They played a great game. They really did. Devontae Adams was cooking. Puka Nacua was cooking on that last drive to get them into field goal range. Kyron Williams did what he did. Stafford's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The Rams did what they did to win this game, except the Eagles just know how to win games, and ultimately their field goal got kicked, and it was a lot closer game than that final scoreline would tell you, because it was really a 1-point game if Jordan Davis didn't block that field goal in return for a touchdown. So the Rams, I'm not worried about them. The Eagles just proved who they are, who we know they are ultimately. They win games. They're cut from the Chiefs' cloth. They just win games. Maybe the games are not supposed to, but they win games. So Eagles win 33-26. Moving on. Steelers versus Pats. Pittsburgh Steelers going to Foxborough win 21-14. I did want to say this. I'm a Bills fan. But this game was one of the most infuriating games of all time. First of all, I want to say this. Drake May, he's fine. All right, he could be a good quarterback in the future, but if you're an NFL fan and your quarterback is not named Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Herbert, parentheses in the regular season, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes, I'm gonna say Patrick Mahomes in that, even though he has not been playing good at all. It is so infuriating to watch other quarterbacks. All those fans I just listed, all those teams and quarterbacks I just listed, it is infuriating to watch quarterbacks play in this league. I should have thrown Matt Stafford in there. That's too disrespectful. Matt Stafford, Super Bowl winner, great quarterback. I'll throw Matt Stafford in there, but if you are not a team or if you're not a fan of any of those teams I just said, it must be so hard to watch your quarterback consistently because the mistakes these quarterbacks make and how drastically different it is compared to the cream of the crop of the NFL, it's hard to endure. Like, I get frustrated with Josh Allen sometimes, only so much, but like it barely ever happens where I'm angry or frustrated with Josh Allen, especially in recent history, but man, it is so hard to watch other quarterbacks sometimes. Like, the decisions they make. Like, you're watching Drake May today. A lot of it's not on him. I mean, his running backs, Antonio Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson had 2 fumbles, both of them lost. Antonio Gibson had 1 fumble, lost one of them. And then Drake May had a fumble and a pick today. That's 5 turnovers. Let me tell you this. 2 out of the 5 turnovers, they're on the 1-yard line or the 3-yard line in Pittsburgh Steelers territory. So they lost this game 21-14. They probably should have won this game 28-21. The Patriots defense did their job today. The Steelers did not look good today. And people are going to be like, oh, the Steelers are back on defense. They're back. No. Yes, they forced 5 turnovers at the end of the day. But however, those turnovers all are on the Patriots. Ramondre Stevenson has a habitual fumbling problem. That man cannot stop fumbling. That's been a known thing about him for the rest of his career. Antonio Gibson fumbles. Drake May, just inexperience, causes that fumble. And then the interception. First of all, the play before the interception, Drake May definitely got concussed, and they let him throw the next play, and he throws this bad interception that was tipped. So listen, 50% of the turnovers were caused by the Steelers. Other 50% completely on the Patriots. The Patriots could have easily played for a field goal instead of Drake May throwing that duck. That turned out to be a pick to end the first half. And the fumble on the goal line is inexcusable by Ramondre Stevenson. How long have you been in the league for Ramondre Stevenson? And you're fumbling like that on the goal line? Just despicable. There's 2 things to take away from this game for me. The Steelers are not a good team. They should have lost this game, and it's extremely worrisome that they won this game. Sometimes wins are worse than losses. Sometimes teams will take the wrong thing from a win. If the Steelers are going to the locker room happy about this win, especially the fans, they don't know what the fuck they're watching or what the fuck they're cheering for or doing. If you're a Steelers fan, you're embarrassed and I guess you're a little bit relieved you won the game, but you cannot seriously think things are going to be different for you this year. You either go 9-8, make the playoffs, and lose in the first round, or you just don't make the playoffs this year, Steelers. Like, the Steelers are not a good team. Their defense is very flawed. They should have lost this game today, 28-21 or 35-21, because honestly, the Patriots defense was doing a great job against the Steelers today, and the defense on the Patriots didn't get rewarded, and the Steelers defense got rewarded, even though their offense was not good. So yeah, Patriots are a bad team. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Stephon Diggs is non-existent as the Patriots, which is not surprising because he's coming off a really bad injury. Drake May is just not there yet, despite him showing a lot of talent. And the running back room is weird. Ramondre Stevenson should not be a starter on the Patriots. He fumbles way too much. He's a liability. Travion Henderson has to get a lot of burn. He just does. For as much as every Patriots fan was talking about him going into this year during preseason, he has to get a lot more burn, Mike Vrabel. Ramondre Stevenson cannot keep getting burned. He fumbled twice today. Pretty much cost you the game. Despicable. If I'm a Patriots and a Steelers fan, I'm disgusted with the game I had to fucking sit through the entirety of. I had to watch it because I had 3 to 4 TVs in my basement, so I'm blessed and spoiled there, but what the fuck? That was embarrassing to watch on both ends of the ball. But Steelers win. At the end of the day, a win's a win. An ugly win's a win. a blowout wins a win and a tough wins a win. So they won the game. Steelers moved to 2-1. They're one of the worst 2-1 teams in the league, in my opinion. I just don't see how they don't finish 9-8, or if not worse, just not make the playoffs. That team is not a good team, and it's not a team that moves me. Despite Rodgers still having that little nice goat-esque accuracy to him, he made some nice passes today. So yeah, Steelers win in a game that was disgusting to watch, especially if you're a Patriots fan. And I'm happy Patriots fans are suffering. I'm sorry, Patriots fan. You guys were spoiled for my entire childhood. Spoiled. Spoiled, spoiled, spoiled. Now you get a taste of every other team's medicine that they had to suffer through. So, Steelers win, moving on. Bengals Vikings, man. I had a feeling the Vikings were going to win this game. They won 48-10, I believe. Jake Browning's horrible. I think the Bengals should trade for Jameis Winston or a gunslinger like that. Jameis Winston's a third string on the Giants. Jackson Dart's the second string, and it looks like Jackson Dart's going to be the first string next week. At least I would assume. So Jameis Winston, you don't deserve to be a third string quarterback in the league. Bengals should trade for him. They really should. But even if Jameis Winston was quarterback today, it will not make a difference. That Vikings defense played great. Isaiah Rodgers on the Vikings played maybe one of the greatest defensive games of all time. He had a pick six, and then he had a fumble return for a touchdown. Great game from him. Jordan Mason, he's on my fantasy team. So from a fantasy perspective, fantastic. But I'm impressed. I mean, the Vikings looked horrible last week against the Falcons, which we'll get to the Falcons in a little bit. The Vikings looked absolutely dog shit Sunday night in Minnesota, and they bounced back this week. They completely shut down the Bengals offense until the fourth quarter. Jake Browning looked lost. The Vikings defense looked legit. The Vikings have one of the very best defenses in the league. If they can get the quarterback situation figured out, if they can get J.J. McCarthy playing good, I know it's his first year, he's been struggling, but when he comes back, if he can start to play good, this is a good team. This is a really good team. So look out for the Vikings. I was impressed with what they did today, despite Browning being in at quarterback for the Bengals. Listen, the Bengals are not a good team, and even with Burrow, I think they would have lost this game. So Vikings win in an impressive route. I'm impressed with Jordan Mason. I'm impressed with how the Vikings O-line looked today, despite playing a bad defense. But Jordan Mason, good outing for you. I'm glad to have you on my fantasy team, and I like what I saw from the Vikings today. How can you not? Vikings defense is one of the best defenses in the league. That's the biggest takeaway from that game. Moving on. One of the most stressful games of the day, Jaguars win 17-10 in Jacksonville. What a stressful fucking game this was. Just egregiously stressful, man. I like the Jaguars. I do. I want to see Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence succeed. I want to see them succeed. Is it stressful? I mean, it's super stressful watching the Jaguars play. They just love to fuck themselves, and they put themselves into horrible situations. Liam Cohen is a gutsy head coach. That's what got him a head coach job as an offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay. I don't love his fourth down decisions in these past two games. The fourth down decision ultimately cost them the Bengals game, and also the defensive pass interference on Travis Hunter, which wasn't a defensive pass interference, but they went for a fourth down here against the Texans, and they didn't get it. And I'm pretty sure the Texans scored on the very next play to Nico Collins wide open, and ultimately Nico Collins fumbles the ball, which is not very like him. He's just a professional and game receiver. If Nico Collins doesn't fumble, the Jaguars lose this game. And if C.J. Stroud doesn't throw a pick at the end of this game, which was partially he was hit and throwing it up in the air, the Jaguars might lose this game in overtime. So, listen, I like the Jaguars. I think they're a better team this year, and I picked them to win this division, which I think is still very possible, despite the Colts being 3-0. The takeaway from this game, the Texans are a bad team. They have a really good defense. The defense is going to win them games this year that they're not supposed to, but that offense is not good. Nick Chubb is a running back one in 2025. That offense is bottom 3 offensive line in the league. C.J. Stroud is not the player he used to be his rookie year. Every time I see the clip of C.J. Stroud egoing Caleb Williams last year, it's one of the most alarming clips I've seen, especially it's your second year, C.J. Stroud. Who the fuck are you to tell someone how to play in your second year? Why are you acting like a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, MVP, talking down to another player. Like, that clip pisses me off. And I love Caleb Williams' facial expressions in that video. Caleb Williams looks pissed off when CJ Stroud is talking to him. Who wouldn't be? He's like, bro, you came out a year before me. Who the fuck are you to ego me? You're not Tom Brady. You're not Lamar Jackson. You're not Josh Allen. You're not Pat Mahomes. Don't fucking try to give me advice. Tell me to stop taking those hits, bro. My offensive line was horrible that year. You fucking moron. That's how I would talk, bro, if I'm Caleb Williams. I'm curious one day. I hope Caleb Williams gets interviewed about that moment one day, because that is one of the most egregious things I think I've seen in NFL history, the way CJ Stroud was talking to Caleb Williams that Sunday night game last year. Especially, like, what the fuck, dude? But anyway, CJ Stroud he's not the same player he was his rookie year. This offense is bad. The O-line is bad, but the defense is good. The defense certainly didn't lose this game. The defense certainly didn't lose them this game, but it didn't win them this game either. So the Jaguars sneak out another win. I like the Jaguars, man. I do. They just need to refine a couple more things on offense, and this team is a pretty good team. Brian Thomas Jr. needs to get. I don't know what's happening to Brian Thomas Jr. this year. He needs to show up a little bit more. I know they played some rough defenses to start the year outside of Bengals. Brian Thomas Jr. needs to show up on offense a little bit more for them. ETN needs to show up a little bit more consistently. He ultimately won the game for them. But yeah, Parker Washington's coming strong for them. Travis Hunter, we need to see a little bit more from you on offense. But yeah, Jaguars win this game, and I think they continue to improve as the weeks go on, especially on offense, because their defense is pretty goddamn good to start the year. Moving on, Colts moved to 3-0, one of the only 3-0 teams remaining. They beat the Titans 41-20. All I gotta say here is, if you bet the Titans in any capacity today, holy shit, why would you do that to yourself? Stop overthinking things. The Titans are good. Their head coach is horrible, one of the worst head coaches in the league. Why are you guys continuing to bet on bad head coaches? Colts, man, one of the best offensive lines in the league, a really solid defense. Daniel Jones is playing really good under a really great offensive line, which must hurt Giants fans, because you are seeing the potential right now. You're seeing how it could have played out right now. He's not one of the very best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, but god damn it, he's playing like one of the very best quarterbacks in the league right now. And when this hot run ends with him, he will still end up being a solid starter in the league, because he's in a really good situation. Pittman, Downs, Pierce, Warren, Mo Alley Cox, Jonathan Taylor, Jonathan Taylor, man, I'm so happy this dude is healthy. One, on my fantasy team. Two, when this dude is healthy, he is one of the very best running backs in the league. That man is a top 3 running back in the NFL, if not top 2. Listen, I love Derrick Henry. He was amazing against the Bills week 1. Derrick Henry, still top 3 running back, but if I told you Jonathan Taylor was number 2, you shouldn't fucking yell at me. You shouldn't get angry about it. Jonathan Taylor, when he's healthy, is amazing, man. I loved watching him in college. I loved watching him when he first came into the NFL. I remember when the Bills were -10 against the Colts one year, and I told my buddy, I'm like, dude, the Colts should not be +10 against us. And what did they do? The Colts came in and stomped on us, partially due to Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor had like 5 touchdowns that game against us. So Jonathan Taylor is a pleasure to watch. That one touchdown he had today where he did a juke spin move touchdown, evading all the defenders, is great. You knew this was going to be a blowout when the first play of this game was Cam Moore throwing a pick 6 to Kenny Moore. Just a rookie mistake. Listen, the Titans stink. Their head coach stinks. L'Jarius Sneed, one of the most washed up corners in the league. He used to be one of the very best corners in the league when he was on the Chiefs. Now he was just insanely washed up and just not a good NFL player anymore. So yeah, Colts win, move to 3-0. I'm curious when this is going to end for the Colts, because I don't think they're as good as their record shows, but they got, like, their defense is good. Cam Bynum, Kenny Moore, like, they have some really good pieces on defense. I like their head coach. I like Shane Steichen. And then their offense is very, very compatible with other offenses in the league. Jonathan Taylor, top 5 O-line, really suitable wide receiver weapons, and then Daniel Jones is playing really good for what he's being asked to play at. So Colts win. Until proven otherwise, which I think will be proven otherwise soon, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I'm curious who's going to be taking them off the undefeated list in a little bit, but they are looking really good, and they handle business today. This is easily a spot where the Colts in the past would lose to a much lesser team, but they won today, because that's how fucking good they're playing right now. So Colts win 41-20. Moving on. This is maybe the most shocking result of the day. Falcons lay an egg. Heading into Carolina, Panthers win 30-0. I'm gonna tell you what, man. Michael Penix, does he stink? I'm pretty sure this guy stinks, and I wasn't too sure about him week one. I wasn't too sure about him week two. I mean, he did what he needed to do to win that game. He didn't need to do much. He was god awful this game. Absolutely horrific. Horrible, man. He was so bad to watch today. I mean, really troublesome. Egregiously troublesome he was today. Not good look, man. He looked like Tua Tagovailoa today. I'm not just saying that because he's lefty. A lot of the decisions he made were bad. A lot of poorly accurate balls. A lot of underthrows. Horrible timing. Horrible decision making. Horrible time management. Raheem Morris is one of the worst coaches in the NFL. One of the worst head coaches. We know he's a really good coordinator, but Raheem Morris, man, how long is his seat is gonna be hot soon. I am not a fan of this guy. I am not a fan of his facial expressions on the sideline. He does not give off winning head coach vibes. Raheem Morris is not a good NFL head coach, and he's proven us that time and time again this season and this season and last season, time and time again. A lot of quietness on this offense today from the Falcons. Bijan Robinson couldn't get it going. The offensive line looked weird. Michael Penix pick six, almost had two. I mean, let's go over some of the stats in this game. It wasn't even like Bryce Young played special today. Bryce Young had 121 passing yards, 16 for 24, no touchdowns. 73 rushing yards from Chuba Hubbard, 17 carries. McMillan, 48 yards, 3 receptions. It wasn't like the Panthers were egregiously special today. The Falcons just sucked. They just stunk. Michael Penix, 18 for 36, 50% passing. No touchdowns, 2 picks. Bijan Robinson, he did what he needed to do, I guess you could say. 13 carries, 72 yards, no touchdowns. Drake London, 5 receptions, 55 yards. 4 receptions, 44 yards. Kyle Pitts, 4 for 39. Bijan Robinson, 5 for 39. And then Ray McLeod, 2 for 20. It was just bad football you're watching here, man. It really, you can't even say that the Panthers played good on offense. You go down, like I said, Bryce Young and Chuba Hubbard and McMillan's stats, and then you have the only 2 players to score offensively for the Panthers today were Bryce Young for the first touchdown of the game, and then Rico Dowdle, who had 10 carries for 30 yards. Both of these offenses were bad. It was just the Falcons' defense was fine, and then the Carolina's defense was just really good. They had a pick six, and they forced a fumble, and they forced another interception. So it's like the Panthers weren't good today. They were good on defense, but to lay an egg like that, Atlanta fans must be hating themselves right now. Just egregious from Atlanta today. I can't believe what I watched from Atlanta Falcons today. The most embarrassing thing I saw today in football was Atlanta Falcons losing 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers, and to my impression, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Despite me liking McMillan, despite me liking J.C. Horn, despite me liking a couple other players on their defense, that's just not a good team. Really bad football from the Atlanta Falcons, and really a disappointment, especially after last week. Now we know that game was much more of J.J. McCarthy being bad and being a rookie than the Falcons being egregiously great. Like, they looked like a powerhouse running the ball and defensively. That was nowhere to be found today. So really worrisome, man, if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, and utter disappointment because you thought maybe you had your guy. You're only 3 games into this season, but Penix does not look like the guy. He looks like he might be Tua, cut from the Tua cloth. So Falcons, most embarrassing loss of the day, most embarrassing thing I've seen of the day. Panthers move to 1-2. Falcons move to 1-2. Just bad. And then we get Commanders versus Raiders. 41 Commanders, 24 Raiders. I knew the Commanders wouldn't take that much of a step back on offense today, and I knew I couldn't trust Geno Smith and the Raiders. They can't run the ball. Trey Tucker had a really great day. I mean, he had like 8 receptions, 165 yards, 3 touchdowns. But that Raiders team was bad. Bad defense. The Washington Commanders put up their best offensive performance today without Jaden Daniels, which you can't put too much merit into that, but it's something of note. They looked really good on offense. I think all three of the running backs scored today. Maybe not Chris Rodriguez Jr., but I know McNichol scored today, and then Merritt scored today. McLaurin got on the board today, like I predicted. Jalen Lane got on the board today, and then Luke McCaffrey got on the board today. So Washington did what they needed to do. I knew I couldn't trust Geno Smith. I knew I couldn't trust the Raiders, and I knew the Commanders would handle business even without Jaden Daniels. I think Marcus Mariota is one of the best backups in the NFL. He's not going to win you a string of games, but maybe he could. Washington Commanders win. They moved to 2-0. Raiders moved to 1-2. No. So Washington handled business today. They moved to 2-1. Raiders moved to 1-2. Raiders, I think, are one of the worst teams in the NFL. Just not a good team to watch, not a fun team to watch, and despite having Pete Carroll and upgrading at quarterback, that's not a team that's going to win a whole bunch of games this year. Not a good team, not a good team, not a good team. Moving on. 2 games here left on the 1 o'clock slate, and maybe the 2 games that were filled with the most chaos. Browns upset the Packers 13-10. What did I say? I knew the Packers would not cover the 7.5 today, and I told you I would not be surprised if the Browns won that game. I thought the Packers defense would be enough, and I thought the offense on the Packers would be enough, just because the Browns defense might give up eventually. But however, the Browns have one of the very best defenses in the league. What happened against Baltimore last week was not indicated on the score line. The game was 41-17, I believe, last week. That game was much closer than 41-17, and that defense was not the reason why they gave up all the 41 points, I'll tell you that much. So the Cleveland Browns looked absolutely absurd on defense today. That new rookie they have a linebacker, that white boy, is nasty. Grant Delpit with a pick with a really one of the worst passes I've seen all day from Jordan Love in the fourth quarter that allowed a touchdown eventually to Quinshawn Junkins. That was one of the worst passes of the day. That was egregious, and Jordan Love should get a lot of shit for that. Grant Delpit, my boy from LSU, shout out to Grant Delpit for getting the pick. Mason Graham looked great on the D-line today. That D-line is fucking good, man. Stefanski's a really goddamn good coach, and he coached his ass off today. Packers should have won this game, but the Jordan Love pick cost them the game, and then ultimately just not a great offense. They aren't, and honestly, half of it is due to how good the Browns played on defense. Half of it is to do how underwhelming the wide receiver core was today, how underwhelming Jordan Love was today, and how underwhelming Josh Jacobs is. Josh Jacobs is a really solid running back. He is. He's probably a borderline top 12 running back, if not top 10. He's just not a big game, or he's just not like something that looks great at running back. You know what I mean? Like, he gets it done. He'll get you a touchdown. He'll get you 3-yard, 4-yard gain if you need it, but is he this big, great, explosive back like the cream of the crop running backs are? No, I don't think so at all. Browns win this game the Browns beat the Packers in insane fashion today. Another blocked field goal to ultimately set up a field goal to win the game. It's 10-10. Packers set themselves up with about, 21 seconds left or a little bit less than that, and the Browns block it. They get themselves in field goal position, and the young kicker on the Browns wins the game for them 13-10. The Cleveland Browns fans deserve this. They deserve it, and I'm happy for the Cleveland Browns fans. The dog pound, they get a win. It was electric to watch this game unfold in the fourth quarter. Packers defense still really great. One of the best defenses in the league. They did what they needed to do to win this game. The offense let them down, and the Cleveland Browns defense showed they are one of the very best defenses in the league. And if they get their offense figured out in the next couple of years, watch out for the Cleveland Browns. Watch out for the Cleveland Browns. If they get their guy at quarterback, if Shador or Dylan Gabriel are the guy at quarterback, which I don't believe they will be, but if one of those two are, good. I think the Browns would be a really good team in the AFC. So shout out to the Cleveland Browns. Maybe one of the first signs of good things in the future to come. Really impressive win today. As when it comes to the Packers, when it pertains to the Packers, very, 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 very screeching halt to, we're going to go undefeated. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Like, no, it's not that easy. Jordan Love, good quarterback, not amongst the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Your wide receiving core, Matthew Golden, new wide receiver, first round draft pick, might be something in the future. That wide receiver core, one, is injury prone, and two, just ultimately there's no wide receiver one there. Maybe not even a wide receiver two. Honestly, that might be too harsh because I like Jaden Reed. I like Wicks. I like Golden. I like Watson when he's healthy, but That's a wide receiver room full of wide receiver twos and threes. They don't have a wide receiver one. Tucker Kraft is good, but he's facing injury. And ultimately, Josh Jacobs isn't a running back who's going to change the game for you or win the game for you. He's just going to be the cherry on top of a really good offense. So, listen, it's not press the panic button. It's not set the alarms for the Packers, but it is a screeching halt to all the fans of the Packers being like, and all the media personalities being like, oh, the Packers are going to be the best team in the NFC this year. Oh, the Packers are just going to go undefeated, win the Super Bowl. Nope, 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 nope. That's not how it is. And this was a testimony to that. This was the wake up call. This was the hey, this is the NFL, baby. Jordan Love was getting fucking pushed around in that pocket today by the defensive line on the Cleveland Browns. Even the linebacking core, that I don't even know his name yet, but I know his name. I know what he looks like now. That linebacker on the Cleveland Browns starts with the S. The white boy, whew, that man is disgusting, bro. He is nice. He laid the fucking boom on Jordan Love today. That was awesome to watch. Moving on, that was one of the most exciting finishes of the NFL today, and that was one, I think, of three blocked field goals in the 1 o'clock slate that led to game-changing things. We got the game-blocking field goal in the Eagles game to cover and to score a touchdown, big man touchdown. And then we had the blocked field goal in the Browns game to win the game ultimately. And then we had another blocked field goal in this game, the Jets versus Buccaneers. This was a blowout for most of it. Buccaneers looked great. Mike Evans got injured in this game, which is a worrisome thing for the Buccaneers. I don't know how long he is out. One, that hurts because I want to see him have another 1,000-yard season. Don't want him to be injured for too long. Hopefully he's just fine. I heard it's like a hamstring tweak. Hopefully he's good. Yeah, the Bucks were handling business. They looked really good. I think they took their foot off the pedal a little bit because they were up for a very long time, and the Jets crept up on them. They didn't give up. Aaron Glenn, despite me not loving his facial expressions for about 50%, 75% of this game, that man is a player's coach, and that man is a man who gets his team fired up. Um, the Jets looked really good in the second half. They were playing ball. They were playing hard. But ultimately, the Baker Mayfield, man, this guy is one of the very best players at the quarterback position right now. This man is fucking great. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. He is just amazing to watch. He's one of the most official quarterbacks in the NFL, at least this season, when he has the ball last. You know he's going to get you at least in a position to hit a field goal or score a touchdown. It was 26-27. Chase McLaughlin's in field goal position to kick the field goal over the Bucks. What happens? McDonald jumps over the center, blocks the field goal, returns it for a touchdown to go up 27-26 over the Bucks after being down the majority of this game. They were down 23-13 in the fourth, or at least at the end of the third quarter. They were down like 20-6 at one point. And that's what happens. And Baker just knew. They showed a shot of him on the sideline, pacing back and forth. He just knew he was going to score a touchdown. He lives for these moments. Baker Mayfield lives for these moments to win the game and to prove everyone wrong, and that's what he's done all of his career. Win games for the most part and prove everyone wrong indefinitely. So, shout out to Baker Mayfield. And also, Emeka Ibuka. Bro, this dude might be wide receiver one on this team. He is incredible. All the 18 teams that passed up on him in this draft must feel like a fool, especially if you needed a wide receiver. He's the best wide receiver in this draft class so far until proven otherwise. McMillan's really good. Hunter might show something, but he's not a better wide receiver than Ibuka and McMillan. I'll tell you that much. Also, Baker's just throwing these amazing balls. Dude, some of the throws that Baker was making today, the frozen ropes, oh my God, it was amazing to watch. Like I said, Tyrod Taylor is a better passer of the ball than Justin Fields. Tyler Taylor is one of the most solid and solidified backups in the NFL. That man is fucking good. Tyrod Taylor is a good, solid backup, and he got them back in this game today. He had a really good connection with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, one of the most underrated NFL players and one of the very best NFL wide receivers. That man is fucking great. He's hard to stop. He makes these incredibly hard catches, and he's just very good. The Jets even got their running game going a little bit. Like, if you look over some of the stats in this game, it's not anything that blows you out of the water. Like, Tyrod Taylor was 26 for 36, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Tyrod led rushing, 8 for 48. Garrett Wilson had 10 for 84, 1 touchdown. Allen Lazard ended up having a touchdown, who I didn't even know was still on the Jets. I thought he left with Aaron Rodgers. Braylon Allen 6 for 30. Brees Hall just continues to struggle after week one, 9 for 21. Um, and then yeah, Garrett Wilson was carrying this receiving core. Tyler Johnson 2 for 32. Brees Hall 4 for 31. Mason Taylor 4 for 18. Braylon Allen 2 for 17. Alan Lazard 2 for 13, and that's about it. But the Buccaneers just prevailed. Jamal Dean got them a pick six in the second half. Yeah, man. Just listen, the Bucks cooked. I love Bucky Irvin. Despite him not having a great game rushing the ball today, they ran him 25 times. He only had 2.6 yards a carry. 25 carries for 66 yards. Baker Mayfield 4 for 44. He had a big run in the fourth. Rashad White 5 for 12. Emeka Book of 6 for 85. Man, Sterling Shepard huge game 4 for 80. Mike Evans 4 for 33. Bucky Irvin 4 for 33. If they get Chris Godwin back, they have one of the best offenses for sure in the NFL, and they already have one of the very best offenses in the NFL. This is a top five offense in the NFL. They took their foot off the pedal a little bit today, but ultimately that's not worrisome to me. They're one of the most clutch teams in the NFL with Baker at quarterback. Emeka Buka is the most impressive rookie, at least on offense this year so far. Yeah, man, the Bucks are a real deal. This is a good win. They did not fold when the kitchen got hot and when that field goal got blocked and returned on a touchdown. They could have easily got on their knees and just gave up, but they didn't. And the Bucks continue to impress me, despite their injuries on the O line, which might end up and prove to be worrisome because Tristan Wirfs is out today, but he's gonna be back next week, and I'm pretty sure Godwin makes his season debut next week. So, the Bucks, man, two insanely impressive game-winning drives last Monday and today against the Jets. Just one of my favorite teams in the NFL, and I think one of the most solidified and Super Bowl contender. Um, just one of the most solidified teams in the NFL, one of the very best teams in the NFL, and I think this team is truly Super Bowl bound, if not NFC Championship bound. This is a special team, and I'm telling you, that offense is great. Explosiveness everywhere, confidence and class at the quarterback position, and clutchness. Just great football from the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I love their head coach, and I love their ability to lose these great offensive coordinators and continue to show out on offense. So it's great. Moving on to the 4 o'clock slate. We'll start with the Seahawks versus Saints because holy shit, was that a blowout. Seahawks beat the Saints 44-13. Wow. Yeah, not much to talk about here. The Saints stink. They're not good at all. Spencer Rattler, I like Spencer Rattler, but he's not an NFL starting quarterback. The defense is all right, but they just give up because of how shit that offense is. Like I said, the Seahawks are going to handle business today. They haven't been good at home in a little while, and this was a game to get the 12-man back into it and to show out for the crowd, and they did. They handled business. 44-13. Jackson Smith-Njigba continues to show he's one of the best wide receivers in the league and one of the very best Ohio State receivers ever. That man is great. Sam Darnold looks really good these past 2 weeks for the Seahawks. I know he had 2 picks last week against the Steelers, but he looked really good regardless. So Sam Darnold looks good, man. It's not like they regressed at quarterback like some people were saying they were gonna. Even I kind of hinted that they might, but they aren't yet. So Seahawks, really great defense. Looked really good on special teams. Torrey Horton looks like one of the best steals of the draft from Colorado State. He looked great. Had a punt return today, 95-yarder, and then he had a touchdown today. So he has 2 touchdowns receiving this year and 1 returning. Jackson Smith-Njigba looks really good. Cooper Kupp is there with them. Kenneth Walker, this is a solid team. Their defense is really good. They handle business like they were meant to, and yeah, Saints moved to 0-3. Seahawks moved to 2-1, and the Saints, man. I think the spread right now for next week, Bills versus Saints, is -16.5. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, but if the Bills don't cover, I'd be very shocked. But also, I see the Bills. The Bills get very conservative when they're up in games. Like, they don't give a fuck about covering the Bills. I'll say that right now. The Bills do not give a fuck about covering. They just care about winning. So keep that in mind when you're betting the Saints versus Bills game next week. Moving on, the MVP race is solidified right here in my opinion through week 3. I know we haven't seen the Ravens play yet, but Lamar's in the MVP race no matter what. Chargers versus Broncos. Chargers win 23-20. Justin Herbert continues to be one of the most impressive quarterbacks this year. The MVP race is very clear to me. It's Josh Allen number 1, Lamar number 2, and Herbert number 3. And number 4, it's Baker Mayfield. That's the 4-headed monster at the MVP race this year. Those 4 quarterbacks are playing unbelievable. And Justin Herbert, what he did today was impressive. I had the Chargers losing here. I'm the Broncos. I'm ready to say they aren't as good as I thought they were going to be. All the hype they had coming into the season from whether it's Diana Rossini, who's one of Sean Payton's best pals, who was saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl this year. And don't get me wrong, I had the Broncos being really good this year. I had the record being like 11-6, so I'm fucked on that. But yeah, uh, the Broncos just lose games. They really should be 2-1. They arguably should be 3-0, but they just know how to lose games. Seemingly, they don't know how to cap off a victory. Their defense is not as good as it was on paper. I know they just added Drake Greenlaw to the IR before this game, so he's going to be out for another 3 games. But Justin Herbert continues to dominate. Keenan Allen is having this renaissance in LA after having a really bad hiatus in Chicago for a year. Marion Hampton had his breakout game today. I think he had like 20 plus carries for like 100 plus yards, something along those lines. And he had a touchdown. So listen, they're figuring shit out there. The Broncos defense is not as good as we thought. Sutton is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL, in my opinion, and he looked good today. And J.K. Dobbins continues to be really goddamn productive for them. And I think J.K. Dobbins is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL, especially when he's healthy. But that man just gets injured. He's probably bound to get injured again this season, which is sad to say. But that man is one of the best running backs in the NFL when he's healthy. That man is just consistent, and he's ready to put up numbers when he's at running back and healthy. So Broncos are disappointing. The Chargers are not. They're impressive. They're winning games. They're winning in ugly games. They're winning in impressive games. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs and the Broncos this year, and the Raiders. So they're 3-0 in their division to start the year, which is impressive, dude. That's impressive. That is really impressive. Justin Herbert continues to impress. Keenan Allen continues to impress, and honestly, Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator continues to get it done in the clutch moments for the Chargers. They're calling some really good play. They're calling some really good plays when it matters. That one play to tie the game at 20 from Justin Herbert on 2nd and 13, evades a couple sacks and rolls out to his left, throws it with his right arm to Keenan Allen as he's running to the left, and Keenan Allen's running to the left of the end zone for the touchdown to tie 2020. One of the best NFL plays of the year through week 3. He was great on that play, and Herbert's been fantastic. My only thing with Herbert is, yeah, you're proving that you're a really great quarterback, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now in the regular season, but you've been utter dog shit in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, this is a great start, and it looks like you're changing in front of our eyes. You're going from a boy to a man after dating Madison Beer, and you're showing up, you're turning out. And listen, Herbert, I can't deny how great you've been this year. So Herbert, shout out to you. You've been great. The Chargers have been great. Their defense is impressive. Their offense has been impressive, and their running game looks like it's finally in motion with the Hampton performance today. So Broncos have things to worry about. I'm sure they'll be just fine. I'm sure they'll get over 500 somehow this year, but their defense is not as great as it was touted to be. Their offense is not nearly as good as we thought it might be with the offensive line and Bo Nix in his 2nd year, but Chargers win. They just know how to win games at the moment, and the Broncos don't. So, moving on. Mac Jones goes 2-0 as a 49ers starting quarterback. The 49ers moved to 3-0. Cardinals moved to 2-1. 49ers win 16-15. Listen, I know the Cardinals aren't good. It's just eerily disappointing that Marvin Harrison Jr. is failing as an NFL football player right now. I thought this guy would come into the NFL and just rip off 1,000-yard seasons, rip off 1,500 or 1,400-yard seasons, and he's just been honestly invisible at times. He had this huge drop today that I think would have been a touchdown if he didn't drop it. He had so much space to run. He just dropped it. He jumps before he catches the ball, and he turns around. It's like, dude, this is day one stuff. I'm not nearly an NFL player. I'm not nearly a D3 college football player, but I played freshman year high school football. I played Pee Wee, and that's one of the first things they tell you. Don't jump when trying to catch the ball if you don't need to, and don't look away before you have the balls in your hand. Before you have the ball in your hand. They didn't tell me that in Pee Wee. I'll tell you that much. Don't look away before you have the balls in your hands. But dude, Marvin Harrison is just disappointing. Him and Kyler don't have the chemistry. Yeah, man, Marvin Harrison is one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL this year, alongside Brian Thomas Jr., who, I think Brian Thomas Jr. will be fine. He showed us a lot more in his rookie season than Marvin Harrison Jr. did, but yeah, man, is he just fucking nepotism? Like, I don't know. I swear, man, this dude was great at Ohio State. He just does not show that he has it in the NFL. Maybe the Cardinals aren't for him. Maybe he just needs to leave Arizona because he does not look like he's happy to play there. He really looks like he's clocking in and out of a 9 to 5 when he plays. He's clocking in to show up, and he's showing up, but he's not showing up happy and ready and motivated to play. He clearly does not like Kyler, or he just doesn't like Arizona in the situation he's in. But and then Arizona lost James Conner for the year, which is tragic because I love James Conner. I love his story coming out of Pitts, overcoming cancer, and now he's out for the season. I think he like broke his ankle. They don't know how severe this injury is. This might be a career ender. And James Conner is one of the most explosive backs of the past 10 years or so. I really loved his renaissance. I really loved his renaissance in Arizona, and I'm saddened to hear that he is going to be out for the rest of the year and maybe even longer. So Cardinals lose 15-16. Cardinals should have won. Marvin Harrison didn't show up when they needed him to be because if they catch that ball, he's getting in the field goal range or he's getting a touchdown. So just bad, bad, bad. But hey, Mac Jones, not that much big of a difference comparing it to Brock Purdy. I'll tell you that much. They're cut from the same cloth. Brock Purdy's still probably the better quarterback, but not that much of a difference. He made some clutch throws to Ricky Pearsall today. One of the most Ricky Pearsall, one of the most clutch receivers in the NFL this year. Ricky Pearsall is one of the most clutch wide receivers in the NFL. He's been clutching every single game this year for the 49ers. So shout out to Ricky Pearsall after getting shot. He's showing out. He's been showing out. Former Florida Gator showing out for the 49ers. And Mac Jones is getting it done. CMC, look good today. Look good today. Hey, Unk still got it. Anyway, a game that I'm surprised didn't go way over its total. I didn't bet or anything, but it felt like this game was going to be a shootout, but it wasn't. I told you, Bears fans, you were going to be happy with this result. You were. I mean, it's just simple as that. You were going to be happy with this result, and you should be. Bears win 31-14. Caleb Williams has the best game of his NFL career. He looks the most confident he ever has looked in his NFL career. He looked great throwing the ball. He threw some deep balls perfectly today. One to Luther Burden, one to Rome Odunze, who's really been turning up for him this year. And I'm happy about it because he was great at Washington in college. But he threw that ball to Rome Odunze for the touchdown on a fucking rope, dude. That was a laser. Impressive play calling from Brent Johnson. He clearly had something to prove, and by that post-game speech in the locker room, that man is hyped. That locker room is clearly playing for him, and they are clearly happy to get away from Eberflus. I know that they were happy to do this to Eberflus today. So, Bears win, impressive. And the thing about today for the Cowboys, Dak looked good for the most part. I know he had 2 picks today. One of them is not on him. That one's on George Pickens, but the Tremaine Edmonds pick at the end was bad. Tremaine Edmonds, former Bill, I love Tremaine Edmonds when he was a Buffalo Bill, was upset we had to let him go. Had 2 picks for the Bears today. Shout out to him. One of them was an acrobatic play, and the other one was just thrown straight to him. So, shout out to Trey Day. Shout out to Tremaine Edmonds, one of the OG Buffalo Bills during the Josh Allen era. Love Tremaine Edmonds. I'm happy to see him doing good in Chicago, but really the story of the day is Chicago's offense and how great they looked today, comparing it to the first 2 weeks. They were facing a really bad defense, so I don't know how much merit and how much stock we can put into this performance, but they did what they needed to do. It seems like their offense is trending up. Roma Dunze got involved today. He's been getting involved every week for them. He's been great. DJ Moore caught a touchdown today. He was fired up, it seemed like. DeAndre Swift was really good receiving the ball today. Colson Loveland got involved today before he got injured. And then Cole Kmet got a touchdown today. So, listen, it's trending up for the Chicago Bears. The NFL is better when the Chicago Bears are winning, in my opinion. That's a good football team when they're winning. So I'm happy to see them win a game. And this is a big game. So I'm asking you as Bears fans, how much stock and merit are you putting into this win? Are you leaning towards the side of the Cowboys' defense is really bad? They have Kyer Elam, one of the worst corners I've ever seen in my life, from the Buffalo Bills. Somehow the Bills got a fucking draft pick from that trade. And the Cowboys are just one of the worst defenses in the NFL, maybe bottom 3 defense in the NFL. And that's why the offense on the Bears look so good. Or the Bears' offense just looked really good today because this is an offense that is really good. They just had tough outings the first 2 weeks. They had a tough outing in the Vikings and they had a tough outing in the Lions. So, are you on the side of the Bears offense is really good, and this is the first signs of it, or are you on the side of the Cowboys defense is so bad that the Bears just had no other choice but to take advantage of it, especially with the play calling of Ben Johnson? So, Bears win 31-14. I'm surprised this game wasn't more high scoring. So, yeah, uh, Bears win. I'm happy for Bears fans. So that wraps up week 3. I talked about the Chiefs and Giants game earlier in this video. That game is shit. I can't believe I watched the whole game. But yeah, tomorrow is Lions versus Ravens. What a game that is on Monday night. That should be a shootout. That should be a game that is going to be nuts. I think the Ravens win that game. Lamar's just really great against the NFC. I don't know his record at the moment against the NFC, but that man just owns the NFC. So I think the Ravens win, but after today and how today ended, I would not be surprised if the Lions kept it close. I actually think the Lions are underrated. I think that defense is underrated. I think they are healthy again and they're starting to get their chemistry back and their rhythm back. And that offense is one of the best offenses in the league. So despite losing Ben Johnson, that offense is still great. So Ravens versus Lions, can't wait for it. It's your boy Matt Talk Sports. Week 3 is ending tomorrow night with Ravens versus Lions. Cherish these weeks, boys. They go by quick. Today was such a fun viewing experience. I was moving like a crackhead today. I had no money on any of the games today. I was just enjoying the games as a partisan, as a person whose team wasn't playing today, and I was moving like a crackhead. I was having a lot of fun watching these games because it was insane to watch. The greatest witching hour I've ever seen in my life. So, it's your boy Matt Talk Sports. I will be back this Friday, Thursday night, talking Week 4 football. And yeah, it's your boy Matt Talk Sports. I'll see you soon, boys.